Hello, everyone. I'm State Senator Michael Rodrigues. Welcome back to another edition of Voices from the Hill. And this is our Happy New Year edition. Although we are recording this, to be honest with you, the week before Christmas. So we are all, preoccupied with holiday thoughts and issues. But we're going to talk about a little bit about what we've accomplished this past year and what we hope to accomplish next year. And welcome to my colleagues, Representative Carol Fiola, Representative Paul Schmidt, and
thank you, Senator.
And Mike, and our condolences from Representative Alan Sylvia, who's not feeling well, but he's with us in spirit and certainly a great partner with us in everything we do here in Fall River.
By the way, Senator, I'm just going to continue on the holiday spirit.
Please.
For a minute, if I may.
Please.
And I just wanted to pass to you each a packet of farm bacon. We just slaughtered a pig a couple of weeks ago, and the bacon came back yesterday. So to me, there's nothing like fresh bacon. And anyway,
bacon goes great with everything.
It sure does.
Merry Christmas.
And as a good Portuguese guy, pork fat rules. So
oh, that's good to know.
Just what I wanted. This is just what I wanted.
I'm having this for breakfast tomorrow. Absolutely.
But as you said, this will be broadcast in January, so I didn't mean to distract us from the new year.
No, but, and your gifts. Well, we'll talk about those later, okay? Yeah. And they say there's no pork in government.
Cut the pork. Cut the pork.
That's great. Thank you, Representative.
This is the only pork you're going to find in government.
How fun. Well, thank you for bringing this from the farm. I wonder how different it will taste.
Delicious.
I can only
Farm
imagine.
fresh.
Wow.
Farm fresh.
This comes from, we do all our slaughtering up at Blood Farm in Groton, Massachusetts. It's fifth generation slaughterhouse owned by Barney Blood. And
what an ironic name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, as you both know, we're trying to create a slaughterhouse down here in South Coast, which we think would increase economic activity and would also make local meats more available to people.
And it's something you've been working on for a long time, that as Bristol County has grown in agriculture, as you drive around Bristol County, you see more and more small farms raising livestock, and there's a real issue of where they can have this livestock processed to get it onto your table. So as you want farm fresh beef or farm fresh pork or farm fresh chicken, lamb, how do you get these products? And there's a real infrastructure issue in the delivery chain.
We could have a whole session on agriculture, but you're right, Senator, agriculture is now a growth industry in Massachusetts.
Isn't it wonderful?
And of course, those are jobs that won't be shipped to China.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, we were just at all three of us were at a grand opening for a staffing agency celebrating their new office and 25 years in business, Able Associates, here on Pleasant Street in Fall River the other night. And one of her guests, Eileen's guests, was the owners of the Aruda Dairy. And that is, of course, in Westport, in your districts. But it was so nice to hear from them because they're celebrating 100th, well, I'm telling you this so we'll all know, 100th anniversary next year. And so they were really excited to talk about a milk farm like that, and they bring students to the farm, and some of the students didn't know that you got milk from a cow. That's what they said.
You thought you got your milk from Cumberland Farms.
From the back of the store in the in the dairy case. So agriculture is important. It's alive and well in your districts, and
yours.
Exciting. And in mine. That's right. In Freetown. And
I always look for Aruda milk in the milk case, and you pay, I don't know, 10 cents more by a half gallon, but to me, it's worth it knowing that you're getting, that you're supporting local agriculture, and that you're getting a really quality product that's good for you.
The dairy farms are such an important, not only industry here in southeastern Massachusetts, but also as we talk about land preservation. For every acre of direct farm where the cows are and where they settle and where they sleep and where they eat and where they're milked, there are 7 acres of uplands that's protected because of all the silage corn, of all the corn that's grown and rented out throughout the region. So as you drive through some of our suburban communities and you see all these cornfields, those cornfields are supporting the dairy farms that you see.
Well, we're lucky to live where we do, and you talk about local farming, you know, in our district here, as urban as it is, as a big city as we have here, we've got so much urban, but we're coming off the holiday season right now. We're in the midst of it here, sitting here, but when you're viewing this, and we're hoping that you were able to shop local because it's all about, you just mentioned paying 10 cents more for something or 20 cents more, but we have so many little shops and venues and restaurants that hopefully your Christmas tree and your holiday giving was made up with some of that small business.
And more, isn't it true that when you buy locally, more of your money stays in Fall River than if you shop at a big box and it all goes, much of it goes out?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But it's a new year. In government, we have a new governor. I have a new Senate president. The city of Fall River has a new mayor. So there's lots of new stuff happening and new people that we're going to be working with. And we look forward to 2015. And we are in the process now of drafting legislation. We have been over the fall drafting, because it takes a long time to take someone's idea and to actually take that idea and draft legislation and put it into legalese and get it in a form necessary to file to either create a new law or to amend an existing law. And we've been hard at work doing that. And we, January, I believe it's the 18th. 16th is the filing deadline.
Yeah, Friday the 16th.
And that's something in and of itself for our viewers. You know, I keep saying I'm the newer rep, and you know, I'm going to end up having to stop that at some point because we do all get re-sworn in. We get sworn in on January 7th, which you're watching this. We've been sworn in, and the governor on January 8th. But you know, the full cycle being a 2-year legislative cycle, so many people don't understand that fully, and that this January 16th filing deadline for legislation to put it in queue to be assigned to committees and to be heard and public input over the next 2 years to see if it comes through by the 2nd year of our legislative session. But legislation can still be filed afterward as, what are they called?
Late file.
Late file. So while we're working on some things now, and of course the senator has had the most experience over his tenure of knowing how this process works.
And passed some really extraordinary legislation.
Amazing legislation. So that's what we'll be working on as we reflect back on the things that actually did pass last year. And some of those accomplishments, maybe we could have a little conversation about that to kind of go over the old and ring in the new.
Sure. What were the highlights for 2014?
Well, for me, one of the highlights for us as a delegation was not so much a piece of legislation as it was in the environmental bond bill. And thanks to the senator's leadership and Speaker Pro Tem Pat Haddad, we brought some serious money to Fall River, particularly to the waterfront.
That's right.
Well, the waterfront is really our centerpiece and is going to be our centerpiece throughout the next century in Fall River. And as the spaghetti ramps come down and we are opening up the waterfront, how are we going to develop that waterfront with new boardwalks along Heritage State Park, new public access opportunities with new moorings, with a new revitalized and redone Battleship Cove and their relationship now with the Marine Museum. Really, there's a synergy down there that we haven't seen before. No,
it's very exciting. I have to agree with you, Representative and Senator. Probably, if I were to be asked, and you know, there's a lot of priorities, of course. You know, we deal with education, we deal with jobs, we deal with. But all of this comes together, and I think our waterfront is really that beacon that highlights who we are and who we're going to be, as you said, as we go forward. And when you look at that, I mean, right now, we'll start throwing out some numbers to you. I mean, right now, we've just gone out to bid for over about a $3 million boardwalk renovation and replacement of the older boardwalks, pretty much from the Cove south, and it's very detailed project. It's going to be about 9 months in the works, and all of you, like us and like me in particular, that walk that boardwalk very regularly, you're going to be very happy to see that happen. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of a inconvenience for 9 months, but again, through that will come a beautiful new boardwalk, and it will really be well appreciated, I think, by everyone in the city and even beyond. Let's talk a little bit about the numbers in terms of the battleship. We're talking tens.
The battleship, and that maybe one day we can have Brad King on as a guest with us just to talk about their plans down at the battleship.
Great idea.
But they're engaged in a long-term $50 million capital plan, budget plan, to really redesign how Battleship Cove is displayed with a new museum. We have in Fall River the largest collection of retired naval vessels in the world. And it's right under our noses, and sometimes we don't appreciate what we have. And how do we use that as the centerpiece of attracting people to Fall River, to stay in Fall River? While they're here to visit the battleship, they visit the Marine Museum, they visit our local restaurants, they go, excuse me,
to our historical society,
oh
to our Lafayette Durfee, right? To all of the wonderful attractions that we have.
Tourism is very important.
Right.
And Senator, I think you're going to see the Battleship Cove reposition itself as the National Museum.
That's right.
And take on not Fall River, not even regional, but take on national importance. And right now in this district, we have the Whaling Museum in New Bedford that is of national importance. And wouldn't it be great for our region to have two institutions nationally recognized?
And look what the Whaling Museum has done for downtown New Bedford.
That's right.
It's internationally known. We have international travelers all the time visiting the Whaling Museum in New Bedford, visiting their waterfront, supporting their local restaurants.
That's right.
And we want the same thing here in Fall River.
And
50th anniversary.
That's right. It's the 50th anniversary of the battleship coming to Fall River, and so there'll be lots of celebrations. We've mentioned that in the past, and there'll be lots of announcements on that. But for me, as we look at our districts and we look at what's going on, I think another significant non-legislative, not a law or a bill, but that's happened is we've been trying to keep the progression of this waterfront construction going. And so we've had the spaghetti ramps, and then you hear us reference probably many, many times Route 79 North, the next phase of lowering the ramps, adding waterfront access boulevards, adding access, pedestrian, bike access pathways leading to the waterfront, and opening up approximately 10 acres of developable land. And so what's been the progress on that over the last few years? It's been in the planning stages. And so I'm excited that in the last meeting in November of the Mass DOT project review meetings, that project cleared a hurdle, a very important hurdle to move forward in a design phase. They call it toward design build. Is that the right term?
Right.
I could call it. And so while we're not funded yet, because we're talking about $60+ million project, we're getting there. We're moving another step closer.
And there's a lot of work to get there.
That's right.
It starts with a conceptual plan, and there's been a number of public hearings. There's a stakeholder group here in Fall River that has met regularly over the last couple of years to begin to look at conceptual plans. From those concepts, then you actually put pen to paper and to begin to see logistically how these concepts can actually work. Because it starts with an idea, but not all ideas are feasible. Not all ideas can actually work. We don't live in utopia where we're designing something from new. We have existing infrastructure. We have existing ramps and roadways and waterfronts and railroad tracks, and so how does this concept work on paper, and this is where, as you said, Representative, we're on to that next phase. We're actually going to put pen to paper, hire the engineers and the designers to begin that. And then once that's done, then our job really gets difficult. Now we need to find the money. And
right.
you know, there's just not enough money for all the statewide transportation infrastructure projects. We've been lucky here on the South Coast that since the Big Dig, no region of the Commonwealth has received more transportation money than the South Coast. The new Veterans Memorial Bridge, the Route 79 Spaghetti Ramp and Braga Bridge project, and all the work that's been done on South Coast Rail, and now the 79 North. So we're very, very happy, and we have a lot more work to do, but you know, we really need to reshape the waterfront. And I tell everybody, remember when back in the late 50s, early 60s, when Route 79 was constructed, it was constructed, you know, during the end of the Eisenhower highway expansion era, where waterfronts throughout the United States were post-World War II were industrial wastelands. They were looked upon as areas to drive by as quickly as possible. They offer no opportunity. They're ugly. They have rusted old coal ships and barges, and the hobos live there. And just drive by there, get into the city. Cities throughout the United States of America, Portland, Maine, Baltimore, Maryland. You know, you can go on and on. You know, I realize Newport, Rhode Island. This is our natural resource, and this is something that we should celebrate and expose. So now we're tearing down the infrastructure built 50, 60 years ago.
For the new way we live and enjoy the waterfront.
Exactly.
Talking about infrastructure, I myself was disappointed that we voted no on indexing the gas tax, because this indexing, it would have provided an important stream of revenue for infrastructure. And infrastructure, to me, is not spending money, that's investing money. And there's a big difference. And that, the indexing, I think someone said, would have cost the average driver next year $5. So, small amount of money for each one of us, but important revenue stream to support these projects that really count for the South Coast.
That's right.
Well, now the onus is back on us. If you know, where are we going to get the source of money to make these investments? And we'll be working with the Baker administration, the new Governor-elect Charlie Baker, as he comes into office. And by the time you're watching this, he would have been sworn into office. But we'll be working with him to ensure that, one, he knows where the South Coast is. He knows our priorities here.
He will.
We know he will.
Wasn't Governor Patrick wonderful?
Yeah, you did a great job. Thank you, Governor Patrick.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Governor Patrick. Well, but maybe how about any priorities for the new year? Are you, pieces of legislation? I'll speak briefly about one piece of legislation. There are many we're working on. Probably 20 bills that I'm working on in my office. But one specifically, relative to the city of Fall River. As you know, as we are revitalizing our waterfront, we also have enacted Art Overlay District in Fall River, that we are trying to attract the arts and artists. And one incentive to do so would be to try to provide some tax relief, some incentives for artists to reside within the Art Overlay District and to sell their goods and services within the Art Overlay District. So I'm working on a piece of legislation now that would provide sales tax exemptions for any piece of original art produced by the original artist who resides within the tax overlay district, so that the Brian Foxes of the world that might want to live and work and sell their goods and services in Fall River, the Arts Overlay District, could do so, and that product would be sales tax exempt. So there's an incentive to lure consumers.
But you have to live in the loft where you're selling?
You have to live within the district. You have to reside
in that Arts Overlay District.
In the Arts Overlay District, because that's the Arts Overlay District is a place for artists to live and to work.
Because
so do we have loft zoning? that allows artists
we
to
have
The
a
Arts
live in
Overlay
where-
District was established several years ago in the city of Fall River, and there is a geographical designation down near Durfee Street and in that area. But what's interesting, you're right, because you referenced Brian Fox, who obviously is a very successful artist and does extremely well. But there are artists, and this is designed for those that, an artist, lives by selling a piece at a time or 3 pieces at a time. And so we need artists to bring that richness to a community, but yet they can't sustain a living. So this gives them a little bit of a break. They get to live in an area where they're making their art, and it's a dual break for them. It's a break for us.
So it's a work in progress. And
Good for you, Senator.
Rhode Island has done something similar. We've kind of we don't steal stuff from others. We borrow. We look at what's the best practices, because that's what private industry does. We hear all the time that government needs to be run more like a business. Well, you can't run government exactly like a business, because there are different motives for government and different motives for business. However, government can take some good operating practices from the business and from the private sector. One is, why reinvent the wheel? The first thing that happens, whether it's me personally in my own legislation or in my committee, which I chair, when ideas or bills come to us, we say, well, what do other states do? Are there other models out there?
Why reinvent the wheel?
Why reinvent the wheel? What can we replicate? If this is working in Oregon and it's a good idea, well, why aren't we implementing that in our policy and practices and procedures here in Massachusetts? And we do that all the time.
Yeah, well, I love the Arts Overlay, and I have to say I own an Allison Horwitz, a wonderful oil by her, which I bought from her studio up in the north end. I forgot what that area is called.
And of course, the Art
And
Association.
you pay sales tax on it.
And I paid sales tax, so hopefully in the future, when I buy my next Allison Horwitz, I won't have to pay.
Allison's a tremendous talent, and of course, the Art Association has recently taken over that Cherry and Webb Gallery, and they're doing a great job. They're going to be announcing, by the time you see this, sometime in January, a new display, a new showing, and you can just pop in there during the day.
And who knows if it's going to work? I mean, you try your best.
Yeah.
And if it works and it's successful and there's a demand to expand the Art Overlays District, fantastic. If it doesn't work, at least we've tried. But I really think it will, because Fall River has so much to offer. At the same event the other evening at Able Associates, I met a couple whom he's a Fall River native, Bishop Conley grad, who went to business, took him to Florida, where he met his wife from San Francisco, for West Coast. They now have grown children going to college in Massachusetts, so they moved back to this area. And she told me, I mean, she's from San Francisco. She goes, I'm looking at Fall River through fresh eyes, through new eyes. And this city has so much to offer. Yeah. This waterfront is beautiful. I think of Malibu. I think of San Diego. And once again, sometimes if it's under our,
we may not appreciate it.
Familiarity, but
right, we don't appreciate it. But from fresh outside eyes, how do we get there?
Well, we're working on it.
It's a series of steps. You're not going to turn around this battleship overnight. It's going to take incremental improvements, and working as a team, working with our partners in local government, municipal government, with the new mayor, with the city council, with all of you, all of the residents, your ideas, your help, we can do it.
Well, you're right. Last night was the AHA event, which you've been hearing more about, and you will continue to, Arts, History, Architecture, and it was held in the downtown area, and it was a tremendous crowd, and there were so many venues, from high tea being served in one of the offices.
I missed that.
To singing.
Real tea, right?
Real tea, singing, musicians.
As opposed to?
To tea bags.
Oh, tea bags.
But it was set up.
Carol knows better.
Set up so I'll toast tea one day for you. But the beautiful
we use
thing
real
is,
tea. I didn't know
the beautiful thing. These are the kind of events that stimulate the economy, and on an ongoing basis, bring people from out of town. And there was an author from Weymouth, Mass, at the event selling her storybook and character that she wrote for children. And she said, when she heard we were from Fall River, Rep. Schmidt was with me, but she told me, she said, this is what a gorgeous community. I drove over the bridge. Somehow she came from the Braga Bridge,
right.
and she said, I've never seen a more beautiful place. She said, this is a happening place. I said, let me record you. Yeah. And so we'll play it back to all of us.
For all the naysayers out there.
But you know what? What we hit on is this community's moving forward, fresh start, 2015. We've been laying a lot of groundwork because this is the stuff you've asked us to do, and these are moving pieces. You know, it's complicated stuff. Listen, I say I'm one of the new ones. Just the way everything falls in place is difficult. It's not easy, but we all have to work together. Our ideas come from you. I've said that when I've requested legislative ideas. That's how things get done, though, as a team. And we have got a fresh start, a fresh team, and we are so excited to move forward.
Sometimes you're very fresh.
That's feisty.
Feisty.
Feisty. That's a good. And
it's going to take a while. I mean, and that's why we are going to stay all over Governor Pat Baker and his team for South Coast Rail. I use a young lady in my State House office as an antidote all the time because it's true. You both know Tara.
Yeah.
Tara is 27 years old. Born in Connecticut, came to Boston to go to Tufts University undergrad. After she graduated with her undergrad degree, came to work for me at the State House. Many of you know her. She's my communications director, so you have regular communications from her. She went to Suffolk University for her master's degree. She and her boyfriend, who's a similar type story, both live and work in Greater Boston. They're going to move in together. They're looking for an apartment. The most affordable place she could find was in Somerville. I don't know Somerville. I know some of it's real.
Happening place.
Some of it's real happening, but some of it isn't real happening. And she's not in the best neighborhood in Somerville, but it's all they could afford. A one-bedroom apartment for $1,650 a month.
Crazy.
And she showed me photographs. I mean, you could fit this whole apartment in the living room of an exam. I said, Tara, my cousin has a 3-family on Middle Street, right above St. Anne's Hospital, Victorian home with a turret room and hardwood floor, gorgeous, 2-bedroom, gorgeous, and you know he's asking $850 a month. I mean, you could save almost $800 a month by moving to Fall River. And she said, "Get me the train, and I'll move to Fall River."
That's right.
The train is going to bring young, smart people, not only provide us access, our residents access to the jobs in Fall River, but provide an opportunity for the young, smart people who work in Boston, in the greater Boston area, to live in Fall River. And that
add to our culture.
That's going to add to our vibrancy.
Yep.
You know, it's a shame we don't have a movie theater in Fall River. Yeah. You know, so if you want to go to the movie,
One point we had like 8 of them.
We grew up with choices, Durfee, the Strand, you know, South. We had all these choices.
Well, now you can watch it right on your phone. So unfortunately, the times have changed, Senator, as you know. But
old goats like me and my wife, we still like going to the theater.
There's a certain experience.
Yes.
That's it. We should have the amenities of other communities. You're right.
And I can't believe the time is almost up. We only have a few seconds to say.
Can I just say thank you to all of us, and just to see the Durfee Tower lit again. And the clock working is a simple little thing, but as you drive around the city of Fall River and you look up, it's a beacon of hope, and I think it's symbolic of where we're going.
Thank you for all your
hard work. Great job, Rep.
You know, it takes a village, but 2015, I think it's a little small note of where we're headed in a brighter fashion.
Wonderful. And,
happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year to everyone. Most of all, please, I wish everyone a very happy and most of all healthy 2015.
That's what's important.
Please know that we're always, all of us, are available and accessible to you at any time. Please don't be afraid to reach out to us. God bless all of you.
God bless.
New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy
Wonderful.
New Year.